Speed World. The Barber SAAB Pro Series from Lime Rock, Connecticut is brought to you by SAAB, the most intelligent car ever built. And by Quaker State Motor Oil. The big Q stands for quality. Always has, always will.
In the Litchfield Hills of Connecticut, the foothills of the Berkshire, lies one of the most beautiful racing facilities in the world, Lime Rock Park. Hello, I'm Ken Squire, and welcome to ESPN Speed World for International Open Cockpit Championship Racing, the Barber SAAB Series. And what a series it has been in 1988. It started this season with John Cochran from Bogota, Colombia, taking round number 1. And then in round number 2, Harald Huysman, the great Norwegian driver, came home first. And an American, Bruce Feldman, won in round 3. And for round 4 here today, well, it's only appropriate that a Yankee here in Connecticut land is on the pole. Tom Dolan of Portsmouth, New Hampshire, is up in front. The issue is, can you stay there?
Well, Ken, we've worked very hard to get here, and I'd sure like to bring a win home to my sponsors.
Good luck to you today. Standing by to make the call, Barb Barsha and Bill Adam here at the start-finish line area.
3 years ago, Skip Barber, who owns the facility here at Lime Rock Park, decided that what racing needed was a series that measured a driver's heart more than his or her pocketbook. He looked for a reasonably priced chassis and a powerful turbocharged engine, found both, and now the Barber SAAB Pro Series is a $500,000 coast-to-coast extravaganza. Bill Adam will provide analysis for us today, and Bill, as Ken has pointed out, we've seen 3 different drivers in the 3 races thus far. We're going to see a 4th new winner today?
Well, I think we very well could. Barber SAAB not only provides a perfect format for racing in that you don't have to own the car, but because he's able to keep them so close, every promoter's dream, you do have an absolute premium on skill. A brand new track here, a totally different format from any place so far. We're going to see a 4th.
And the weather might well be a factor today. Now let's take a look at the 1.5-mile Lime Rock Park circuit on which our Barber SAAB Pro Series Round 4 will unfold.
Well, a much different track than we've seen up to date. A lot of high-speed corners and really only 2 good areas for passing. Going into turn 1, which is a long 180-degree corner, you're at the end of the front straight. Excellent for out-braking. At the end of the other end of the track, turn 6, a fast corner to go through. You can sometimes get set up there very, very well. Really a difficult track, puts a great premium on very, very smooth.
Now let's take a look at the way they'll line up for today's event. On the front row from Portsmouth, New Hampshire, Tom Dolan alongside the Miami winner, John Cochran. Row 2 will have Jeremy Dale out of Toronto, Canada, with John Cochran at his elbow from Newport, Rhode Island. Row 3 will be Bruce Feldman, who won at West Palm Beach, with Richard Burgess next to him. TONY-SHEPLEY will be inside row 4 with Mark JAREMKO from Spokane, Washington alongside. Row 5 will be Wayne CERBO from Towako, New Jersey, and Dallas, Texas, Andy SWETT. Row 6 will be Harald Huysman from Norway. Good story there. Bob Anacona will be alongside. Stephen Hines will be inside row 7 with Mike STRAWBRIDGE alongside. Tom McCabe inside row 8 with Ken Knott from Atlanta, Georgia outside. Row 9 will have Brian Bonner from Linfield, Massachusetts inside. Randy Harris from San Francisco outside. Richard McGinley will be inside on row 10 from Ocala, Florida, with Scarsdale, New York's Jeff Stern alongside. Joe PEZZA from Glen Cove, New York will be inside row 11 with Bob DOTSON from North Carolina alongside. Giuseppe Cipriani from Venice, Italy will be inside row 12 with Jim Pace from Jackson, Mississippi. Inside row 13, John Finch of London, England, and Darrell Landvader of Williston, Vermont. Row 14 will be Tim Beverly of Tyler, Texas, and Bud Clark from Tallahassee, Florida. And bringing up the rear, all alone in row 15, George Sutcliffe from Odessa, Florida. We'll be back for the green flag, round 4 of the Barber SAAB Pro Series from Lime Rock, Connecticut, coming your way on ESPN right after this. Equally prepared Barber SAAB machines prepare to take the green flag in round 4 here at Lime Rock. Bob Barsha, Bill Adam with you. Ken Squire will be on pit road. The BMW pace car has exited the racetrack, and we expect the 29 cars to be turned loose by the starter. The green flag is in hand. Tom Dolan is on the pole. John Cochran, who has already won once this year on the Barber SAAB Series, is outside, and we are racing. The green flag waves. And quickly, Tom Dolan heads down into turn 1. He's got position. Looks like he'll have the lead as they make the first turn.
Very, very gentle down here. You don't want to get any contact between these open wheels. And with the cars all being equal, the same horsepower, braking is a prime requirement. You've got to get in deeper. Just out-brave that fellow next to you. But get through lap 1.
The cars, as we mentioned, are all equally prepared. Nobody has a particular speed advantage. so it's going to be tough to break open. But certainly right away, Tom Dolan has opened himself a little bit of a lead as you see the cars jockeying for position on the backside here on the 1.5-mile Lime Rock circuit. Now up the hill, a sweeping right-hander onto the backside of the course. The back straight, another right-hand kink around to the west end. And look at the speed these cars are making.
Really a nice first lap. I always worry a little bit watching open-wheel cars for fear of somebody getting a little too anxious and maybe touching that wheel, but great lap here. Everybody's very smooth. Look at the snake train as they're coming down the front straight here. Trying to break any little bit of a draft the second place might get from him. He looks in his mirror, establishes second, back far enough. Now he can set up and go through turn one on the line he wants, rather than the line he's being forced into taking.
27-year-old Tom Dolan, an engineer at the Portsmouth Naval Shipyard in Portsmouth, New Hampshire, is your leader. And somebody is off. Car number 18, Wayne CERBO from Towako, New Jersey, has gone off a big way and into the tires at the end of the front straight.
There's the purpose of the tires. You want to be hitting something soft, something that will absorb energy rather than guardrail. A tire is going to bounce and take a foot, a 2-foot diversion before it actually starts to hurt.
Let's see if we can take another look at what happened to Wayne CERBO.
And real simple, just got the car too far out onto the grass, loses all traction. Watch this, backwards into the tire, but watch the car. See that water? You see the water getting squished out of the tire. That's as they compress. It's just forcing it out. Great way, and there you see. The car is able to continue, no damage at all.
I misplaced him on the race course. He was actually down in the carousel in the middle part of the course, and he will go way back in the pack. In fact, he will be way behind the entire pack as your leader, Tom Dolan, with John Estupinian right behind him. Here is the battle for third place. That's the number 1 of Jeremy Dale, who started in that third position, with John Cochran right behind him.
Now, Jeremy Dale is a young Canadian who has quite a bit of experience in the Can-Am cars, under 2-liter cars. He should feel quite at home in these cars.
101 miles an hour for the first lap for your leader, Tom Dolan. There you see the number 1 of Jeremy Dale battling with John Cochran. A pair of 25-year-olds from very different backgrounds. One from Toronto, Canada, and an instructor at the Skip Barber School, and the other a man looking for a career in racing. Back up front, number 2, Tom Dolan. He's got John Estupinian right behind him.
You can watch as Tom Dolan comes down that straight. You see his head going back and forth. What he's doing is checking mirrors. A little bit of a slide there through the corner, but nothing to worry about at this point. He checks the mirrors to see what is going on with the car following. Is somebody going to get set up for a potential pass? Because that is one of the really good spots at this track where passing can be done safely.
Looking fairly smooth. Tom Dolan doing a good job, giving it a good ride here at Lime Rock. This is the back straightaway. Not really straight, as you can see, a series of gentle curves. Then the sharp sweeping right-hander and up over the top, lifting the driver right up against his straps.
Again, at the end of that back straight, we're able to see a little burst of flame from these cars, and it's not something that anybody should worry about. They are turbocharged motors, exactly the same as what you have in the Saab cars on the street. And when you back off the gas, the turbocharger is still spinning very quickly, forcing raw fuel into the motor. It gets so much gas in, it goes right through the engine, out onto that hot exhaust pipe, and that's what ignites it. It doesn't do any damage at all.
Tom Dolan with John Estupinian from Bogota, Colombia behind him. Estupinian now a college student down in the Miami area. And he gave his hometown fans a big thrill when he won the first race of the year. Now there you see the number 12 car. That's Harald Huysman of Oslo, Norway. Great story. He ran to his car just as they were about to roll off the grid. He competed in a European touring car race at Aarhus outside Berlin, Germany. He then hopped on to the Concorde, flew to New York, took a private plane to a nearby airport here in Connecticut, and then helicoptered over, landed on the racetrack, and virtually sprinted to his car in his uniform with his helmet on, hopped in, off he went. 2 races in 24 hours on 2 sides of the Atlantic Ocean.
A real love of racing. Can you imagine if he was pulled over by a policeman in a driving suit with a helmet on?
Where's the fire, Chief? Huysman won the event at Road Atlanta, his debut in the Barber SAAB Series. He is a veteran open-wheel competitor over in Europe, has driven some Formula 3 over there, has big backing, hopes to make a pro debut here in the United States driving open-wheel cars like these, maybe be an Indy car driver someday.
And a great battle right there that he's involved in. You can see these cars are so dead equal. The braking is in the same area. They're all turning in, really having a good fight right here.
On that story, Huysman qualified in the United States, then flew to Berlin, and then flew back. That's really wanting to go racing quite a lot. He started 12th, and right now, Bob, he's running up in 9th.
Doing well as Harald Huysman. I think if I were his competitor, I'd kind of wonder about that many time zones. He's probably body clockwise somewhere out over the Atlantic Ocean. Hope he's got all of his reflexes around him, because he's going to need them in these Barber SAAB races.
Well, may work out to be a bit of a psychological advantage for him because the competitors realize this guy is really hungry to be going through all this trouble getting back and forth here for races.
Meanwhile, back up front, Tom Dolan doing well, opening up a big lead now over John Estupinian. It looked as though Estupinian was going to be able to close it up on him, but now Tom Dolan is pulling away a little bit. We'll see if there's something wrong with John Estupinian's car and be back to the Barber SAAB Pro Series at Lime Rock, Connecticut under brilliant sunshine. We'll be right back. Back at Lime Rock, Connecticut, Bob Barsha and Bill Adam with you. You're watching the leader of the Barber SAAB Pro Series Round 4 for 1988, Tom Dolan of Portsmouth, New Hampshire. And look at the gap he's got over the 4 cars following him. Good battle for second place between John Estupinian of Bogota, Colombia, and Jeremy Dale following him in the red car there. John Cochran follows Dale. Behind him, Bruce Feldman, who won at West Palm Beach. Those 4 running as a group, as you see. Out front is Dolan. The rest of the pack is behind them. The winner likely to come from this group.
Well, Estupinian showed a little bit of the pressure getting to him there as he exited third turn, the one that leads onto the back straight. The car really was wiggling back and forth. Obviously got on the gas very early and kept his foot on it, even though he was up on full boost and was coming out like a power slide situation on a snowy road.
Good look there at the number 28 of John Estupinian. We're lapping traffic now. Things are going to get a little bit confusing. And they're going to have to be very careful with these race cars. Now, you see Jim Pace, I believe, is the car being lapped right there. He moved right on over to let the faster cars come through. He doesn't have all the car he'd like today, does Jim Pace, but he's willing to let the leaders run theirs.
Yeah, Estupinian was very smooth that time back onto the straight, but look at Dale is sitting right on his pipes. And again, Dale will be filling up Estupinian's mirrors. You see John there, like looking back and forth, side to side, trying to determine what's happening. He maybe realizes that Jeremy Dale closed up that little bit, doesn't want to let this fellow pass if at all possible.
Running at better than 100 miles an hour. You watch the drivers as they lean their heads back and forth, fighting the G-forces of these ground effects open-wheeled machines, turbocharged about 225 miles an hour. You get a good look at young John Estupinian there. And you got to wonder when a guy opens up a big lead, as we saw. Whoa,
great pass right there. Jeremy Dale got a great inside line, was able to come through the final corner leading onto the straight with possibly a mile or 2 advantage on John Estupinian. That allowed him to get up close enough to try a pass of braking on the inside of him. He completed it. Beautifully done.
So give second place to the number 1 of Jeremy Dale out of Toronto, Canada. The speed up to 102 miles an hour for our leader, Tom Dolan. And you wonder when a guy builds up that much of a lead that quickly. The drivers are allowed to set up their cars. That is, they can play with tire pressures, with suspensions, with wing angles, things like that. They cannot touch the mechanical bits, the drivetrain, the engine, the transmission, and so forth. So evidently, Tom Dolan, the engineer from Portsmouth, New Hampshire, not only a great race driver, but he also knows how to set up these cars.
Well, these cars are pure racing cars, and they can be set up to change the handling characteristics totally. Some drivers feel much more at home having the front of the car sliding a little bit more than the back, where others feel more home with the back end coming out of it.
Excuse me, Bill. John Cochran, the number 14 car, has also gotten by John Estupinian now, so make your order. Tom Dolan in the number 2 car. Number 1 right there is Jeremy Dale in second place. John Cochran in 14 is now third. John Estupinian is fourth, and he appears to be fading.
I wonder if possibly he suffered some sort of a puncture. Maybe that would go along with that wide slide out of that final corner there a couple of laps ago. But the car is going through the high-speed sections here very smoothly, and that wouldn't necessarily go hand-in-hand with a puncture.
Estupinian now in danger of falling into the clutches of Bruce Feldman, back in 5th position. Feldman, a stockbroker from Ridgewood, New Jersey, who won the race at West Palm Beach, a 2-year veteran of the Barber SAAB Pro Series.
Really had a good race on at West Palm Beach. Tried to show the youngsters how to do it.
There's a look at John Cochran out of Newport, Rhode Island, 25 years old.
Whoa! Gee, now, look what happened right here. Number 3 tried the same sort of a move as what Jeremy Dale did. An inside move, but got so deep, he wasn't able to turn the car. He literally crossed the path of Estupinian and had to re-give that position back to him.
So briefly, Bruce Feldman in the yellow number 3 had 4th position, but he winds up back in 5th once again as he overshoots the turn.
I think his heart rate may have gone up there just for a fraction.
I would have bet that'll get your attention some.
Now what he has to do is settle back down again and redo the things that gave him that chance of gaining a position.
There you see number 28, John Estupinian, running in 4th position, but Jeremy Dale right behind him. There, number 14 is John Cochran, who is looking for 3rd place at this point, or 2nd place, make that. He's got number 1 right in front of him, Jeremy Dale, in 2nd place, and he wants it.
Well, 14 and 1 are staying very, very close. a little bit of an advantage right now, 214, that he can do two things. One is to occupy the mirrors of the number one car, to make that driver look around and perhaps lose a bit of concentration. But secondly, use the number one car as a gauge. He can tell if it's a little bit slippery on some part of the track, and he can see what speed he's doing into a corner. If he's too fast, or if he can go even faster than number one.
Jeremy Dale certainly knows this Lime Rock 1.5-mile race course. He teaches at the Skip Barber driving school here. The school really has nothing to do with the Pro Series here. These turbocharged race cars capable of 150 miles an hour or more. Not the sort of thing that you necessarily want to learn race driving techniques in. These are serious professional race cars. Now there's number 12, Harold Huysman, who has really got to be sucking wind after the kind of trip he's had in the last 48 hours, as Ken Squire said, back and forth across the Atlantic Ocean, once in each direction to compete on 2 continents within the same, well, actually within the same 24-hour period, I would guess. Huysman, a European Formula 4 champion, as I said, a very, very good driver. You saw our coverage of the round 3 activities at West Palm Beach, Florida. I had just about was ready to give the pole and the victory to Huysman when he slid wide and banged the concrete barrier and took a corner off the car. So it can happen to the best.
Very, very unfortunate accident for him.
Up to 8th place is Harold Huysman after starting back in 11th. But he's got a long way to go to catch Tom Dolan.
Yeah, an excellent job. You know, I wonder, if Harold came over on the Concorde, could he be racing right now before he left Europe?
Ask Einstein. It's all relativity to me. Harold Huysman checking his mirrors. He's got a battle of his own going there for 8th place. I didn't catch the number of the car behind him, but up front, Tom Dolan, you see the gap, a little over 1.5 seconds between Tom Dolan, Jeremy Dale, and John Cochran. There is your leader. We will be back for more of the Barber SAAB Pro Series from Lime Rock, Connecticut. After a few important messages, Tom Dolan continues to lead. Quick Facts are brought to you by Quaker State Motor Oil. The big Q stands for quality. Always has, always will.
Take a Saab 165 horsepower engine, boost it to 220 horsepower, add a 5-speed Hewland gearbox, and how do you transfer all that power to these rear stickers around these courses? Would you believe an honest-to-God, right out of the box, stock Saab 9000 clutch? That's what does the trick in every one of these race cars.
Back at Lime Rock, that Saab clutch doing just fine for Tom Dolan, who has led this race since the get-go. 27-year-old Tom Dolan out of Portsmouth, New Hampshire, is getting faster as the race goes on. He just lapped at 103.3 miles an hour. And when you consider that he only qualified for the pole at 104.5 miles an hour, you get the idea. Tom Dolan is not slowing down. There is Harold Huysman in the white number 12 car. Huysman working his way through the pack, but I don't think there are going to be enough laps left for Huysman to complete his double.
Now, I think what he wants to do right here is to try and get as high as he possibly can for a couple of reasons. Number one, obviously, ego. Nobody wants to finish 32nd in a race, but it's very important in the Barber SAAB Series to get as high as possible in every single race, and he wants points.
Your leader is the white number 2 of Tom Dolan out of Portsmouth, New Hampshire, but we have had a change in second position. Make your second place runner now John Cochran taking over from Jeremy Dale, and we'll show you how it happened.
Down this very fast hill onto the pit straight. Look at Jeremy Dale, just wider. The front wheels are turned, but he goes farming. Now he's off the gas a little bit. There's some number 14 just sliding by. Look at Dale, just back and forth. He's trying to be very gentle, but not get totally off the gas. Little exuberance there, shall I say. He's safely getting the car back on.
Nicely recovered from, but he got himself off by trying too hard to hold off John Cochran. So make your order now. Tom Dolan at front, John Cochran is second, Jeremy Dale is third. As you watch the second plate, number 14 of Cochran go through the picture.
Good pass there. Very, very nice pass, because this is an extremely dangerous area with that uphill corner. Letting the cars get very light, he can really get into a lot of trouble.
As you watch Cochran hop one up on the curve there, in 5th place is Bruce Feldman, 6th is Richard Burgess, 7th TONY-SHEPLEY, in 8th place is Harold Huysman out of Norway. Moving on up, Mark JAREMKO is 9th, and in 10th place is Stephen HYNES. There's your second place runner, John Cochran.
Just has a little check of the mirrors there to see how much space he's got between me and Jeremy Dale.
Dale in the number 1 machine. Cochran was a Northeastern Region Sports Renault champ a couple years back. Well, actually last year in 1987.
Jeremy's obviously trying. Just barely dropped that back wheel, just a couple of inches off the pavement, kicks up a little bit of dust, but really doesn't lose any speed. If you can do that lap after lap, you're going to have a very, very quick lap.
Is it likely in a situation like that off he just had that he may have damaged the suspension? Or
no, not unless he hits a really big bump. It's a strong car that he has here, that all these cars are, and it's not going to affect alignment in any way.
So Jeremy Dale, we assume, still has a completely healthy race car, but he has lost second place to John Cochran, and now he's going to have to try to make it up.
Hoping to see a bent wing there, number 16, just leading on the picture. This is the safest spot for passing, as you can see most people doing it. Just sliding down the inside, you got a good, solid, wide piece of track here, great for breaking down. Getting underneath people gets safely past. Look at that. Again, that was Jeremy Dale. There was twice in a row, 2 laps in a row, where he dropped that left rear wheel just 3 or 4 inches back off the outside of the track. He is really trying hard.
And now Harold Huysman there in the number 12 machine has worked his way up into 7th position, displacing TONY-SHEPLEY. We are beginning the last lap as the white number 2 of Tom Dolan enters turn 1, followed by 2 lap cars, and then this man in number 14, John Cochran, with Jeremy Dale right behind him.
Now, if Dale wants to make a move, he has to do a real rescue, and passing at the end of the straight will do him no good because that's past the checkered flag, so he's really got to screw up courage if he wants to make a shot this time around.
Your leader is Tom Dolan. The gap is back to second place, where the battle is going on between John Cochran and Jeremy Dale. Good shot there as he comes up over the hill. Tom Dolan will gain his first 20 points of the season with a victory. And a great drive it has been from start to finish. One more right-hander onto the front straightaway. The checkered flag is in the hands of the flagman. And Tom Dolan collects his first victory of 1988. Behind him, the battle for second place between number 14 and number 1 is decided on John Cochran's behalf. And there is Harold Huysman coming through, the downhill right-hander.
And he's got a comfortable enough gap there, Bob. I think he should hold it to the flag.
Harold Huysman will complete his transoceanic double with a 6th place. A great victory. Tom Dolan becomes the 4th different winner in as many races in the Barber SAAB Pro Series for 1988. We'll be back to meet him and give you the final results right after this.
The Barber SAAB Pro Series from Lime Rock has been brought to you by Saab, the most intelligent car ever built. And by Quaker State Motor Oil. The big Q stands for quality. Always has, always will.
Tom Dolan just getting ready to clamber out of this beautiful Barber SAAB racing car. A flawless performance today. Didn't look like you put a wheel out of line, but maybe once.
Thanks very much, Ken. It was difficult. We worked real hard to get here, and like I said earlier, what I was really trying to do was put on a good show for my sponsors. They've been good to me. There were a couple of real close friends that have helped me out quite a bit, and my thanks goes out to them. David Aronson and Ricky Carmen, Familia, Color Tech, and Soft Pro. They've all really helped me out quite a bit.
How did you feel about your drive today?
A little bit sloppy, but I'm here. So
Tom Dolan very much is here. That's the story of the Barber SAAB Championship race that took place today at Lime Rock Park. And in this incredible competition, 4 different races and 4 different faces in victory lane as we take a look at the top 10 in the series. Jeremy Dale crossing in 3rd here today. Bruce Feldman, winner earlier this year, gets 4th. The Stupian, who won earlier this year, rounds up a 5th place finish. And Huysman will wind up in 6th today when it's all over. And there you see the rest of the top 10 at Lime Rock. Thanks for being with us here at Lime Rock today. For Bill Adam and Bob Barsha, I'm Ken Squire.